Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Artcasters number 445. And so we were supposed to have a guest tonight, but unfortunately that guest got COVID, so they're not able to make it. We're going to reschedule them. So this is sort of an impromptu discussion. And I think for the next few episodes, it's just going to be us three because when we get towards the end of the year, of course, we're going to take next week off for Christmas. Gets towards the end of the year, we want to do our kind of wrap up of the year and then also our goals for 2025. But today, since our guest got out, we're just going to talk about how great Skeleton Crew is. And no, we're not going to do that. Although I'd like to. Or the Superman trailer or any of that stuff. Maybe if Josh has a live stream this weekend, we can jump on there and talk about that. I don't know if you've seen any of that stuff, but
I saw the first Skeleton Crew episode, and I'm planning on binging after tomorrow.
Awesome, yeah.
I made the mistake of watching it with my kids, so I can only watch it when 4 different people's schedules line up. And it's just
we have a similar thing where my wife and my son have to be like, everybody has to be ready, and
I'm usually a day late because I for whatever reason I've been busy on Tuesdays, but I am loving it so much. But anyway, we hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk about that. But
Jim said, welcome to Man Chat, trucks, guns, and football. Not in that order, but exactly in that order. That's right.
So today, I just kind of threw it out because, like I said, it's kind of a last minute thing. And I threw it, not that our guest kind of did give us a little bit of heads up. But anyway, so I threw out there, what can we talk about? And Corey suggested Substack, which I like that topic. So we're going to talk a lot about that, I think. Because I think that's kind of where we're moving towards as far as social media, some of us anyway. We might have to get Josh on board, and I might have to get back on board.
Who knows what Josh is doing?
Yeah. But I just thought, social media, we've been on YouTube and everything for so long, and social media has changed so much in that time as far as how it pertains to artists, as far as promoting ourselves and everything like that. We want to talk about kind of the changes and what's kind of the state of it right now and what solutions, because it's not great for us as far as promoting ourselves and stuff. But hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel, or just maybe something totally different. I don't know what to talk about that, but I'm getting ahead of myself because usually if you watch the show, you know that we go around the virtual room and we introduce ourselves and talk about anything we've got going on. So I guess I'll start that off. You're on my channel, so that's where you can find me on YouTube, where you'll also find in my archives, you'll find Making Comics 101, which is my free series on just how to make comics. It's the most comprehensive free resource on how to make comics that you're going to find in video format anyway, anywhere that I've seen. So, and then I've got some of my more recent videos where I'm tapping into nostalgia and stuff that Gen X kids love, like myself, and kind of putting a unique spin on it, recreating it, and flipping it on its head and all that stuff. So if that sounds intriguing to you, but you don't exactly know what I'm talking about, you got to check out the videos. So check those out. Also, I have a website, circworks.com, where you'll find the results of some of those videos, like my wax packs that I'm making based on those old trading card wax packs that we used to get. I'm creating new ones that never got created. Those are on there. Plus, I've got digital products that'll help you create comics. And I've got my comic book, Young and the Dead. It's a kids versus zombie adventure story. Just think Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. So anyway, so that's me. I'm going to go clockwise. We're going to go down to Josh here. Josh.
All right. So I did a graphic novel that's very heartfelt that talks about my experience learning how to navigate depression and panic disorder. If I'm wiggling my nose, it's because I have crazy allergies right now. Not COVID, don't worry. But
you're not trying to cast a spell on your husband in the 80s.
Well, that too, that crazy little man. But anyhow, so 2 Stories is a graphic novel about faith and mental illness. It also kind of takes place during the holidays, and so it is a great book to read, especially if you're a person who struggles with depression and or just like was a nerd in elementary school and wants to read a memoir that kind of deals with coming to terms with that kind of thing. So hand lettered, hand inked, took probably the whole of 5 years to do. Probably a little too long, but anyhow, pick it up, support indie comics, and also consider getting. So that's not all ages. That would be like a book for like 18 plus. This one for 16 plus, or is Jacob's Apartment, and it's about two young adults that are polar opposites that are roommates, and they through rough circumstances in their lives find themselves drawn together. And as they get close, their dreams and reality start interweaving. So it's kind of like if you took Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind, put it in a blender with Ghost World. If you like that flavor of indie goodness, this beautiful full color, stitched binding, beautiful book published by Graphic Mundi is available on Amazon. And again, Amazon usually delivers in time for Christmas, even this late in the year. And and you can also get that at bookstores and stuff like that. So support indies, support indie comics, and pick those things up. And the last thing I'm going to show is my music under Joshua Kemble. I've released about 3 albums this year, and so you should check it out. I will probably be releasing a 4th. So if you're listening to my stuff on Spotify or on any of the music streaming platforms under Joshua Kemble, keep an eye out, especially because I kid you not, I for some reason have been rapping on a couple songs, and my raps are terrible.
But I will
continue.
Track you put out, Josh.
What's up?
I said I dig that new track you put out.
Yeah, I wrote a song about CEOs and about eating the rich. I don't know what that would have anything to do with healthcare CEOs and eating the rich. For a song topic, I don't think that's topical to anything that's currently happened, but that song will be coming out soon, as well as other stuff. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out. And also, my new 7-string guitar will be chugging in a couple of the songs as well. So anyhow, yeah, keep an eye out. Check out the music. Dylan said that's a sexy looking book, Joshua. Thank you. It is a beautiful book. All right, Corey, where can I find your stuff, especially if I want to see some praying mantis action,
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to see, I don't know about the action part, but if you want to see I'm dubbing this panel a killer girl fight. That's been getting some traction. Just go to coreykerr.com/rage. I think we're going to talk tonight about all the different places where I'm doing this. But yeah, so mainly on Substack and YouTube, but I'm also kind of pushing stuff out to a couple other platforms. But it's going to be Substack and YouTube is kind of where everything is. So got the book. You can read it, coreykerr.com/book. I think there's a sleeper chapter or 2 in there that got released during like Thanksgiving if you missed it. So I didn't get any response on that one, but it's one of my favorite chapters. So go check that out. And if you want to read the comic and see what's happening leading up to this epic Widow Mantis battle and figure out why this mantis is wearing an evening gown, then go check out coreykerr.com/rage.
All right. So social media. So like I said before, we've kind of been on social media for a while. As far as artists, it's in a lot of ways in today's day and age, it's sort of a necessity as far as promoting yourself and everything. I guess, Facebook in particular, I remember a time where I had I still do. I've got a Facebook page with, I don't know, 1,500 or 2,000 followers on there, which at one point meant something, then meant nothing. And, so I think that was the first time I noticed that, yeah, something's happening here. And it seems like most of the other platforms kind of followed suit. It was just kind of the institution of social media, give how does it work, Corey? You give the users everything they want, and then
so Corey Doctorow's theory is, there's the client acquisition phase where you are really good to the users, and you're doing that to steal them from other platforms, like the way that Facebook did to MySpace and stuff like that.
You should have
Then,
never left Tom. That's the message.
dude, he seems to be the only tech billionaire that didn't go absolutely corrupt and
You see what I'm
nuts, like,
saying?
right?
That should be our
Dude.
topic tonight. Is let's migrate back to MySpace, guys. Let's bring
Right.
back glitter gifs and
Well, let's not go that far.
Yeah. So, so that's stage one. Is you gain the audience, right? You really go to them. You give them everything they want. You give them a chronological timeline. You let them follow people, and you show them stuff you show them stuff from people that they follow. And then you start to do stuff that is really enticing to the advertisers. And so you're really good at the advertisers at the cost of the users, but the users will stick around because of the network effect. So like what everybody's experiencing right now as social media is atomizing, like imagine like a spray bottle, like the water is all consolidated in the bottle, but then you spray it, it atomizes. That's what's happening in social media. It's a very common thing, but anybody under 25 might not think it's that common because you just haven't you've grown up in an uncommon era of stability, and it's not a natural state. So if you think of like what happened with TV, there were 3 channels, then there was cable, and then there was dish, and then there was streaming, and now there's just it's everywhere. And I was just talking to some younger colleagues of mine, so other college professors, but they're like 10 years younger than I am. And I'm like, it's interesting to talk to them because I have a very similar shared experience with most people that grew up in the same time period that I did, but they didn't. So like, you can't find people nowadays that are like watching all the same shows and listening to all the same music. It's atomized, right? And so that's happening right now with social media. The network effect is like trying to get all of your friends and all of your fans and all of the people that you follow to move to another platform at the same time. And it's impossible because you can't even get 5 people to decide on the same pizza, let alone like 500 people be like, okay, everybody create a new password at this other place. It's like, I'll give an example that I've just given up on. I have so many different group chats with friends that agree with me about big tech on big tech platforms, and they will not move to a safer platform. And so we're still on Facebook Messenger, and we're still on, whatever. Anyway, there's better platforms out there, but because of the network effects, I can't get anybody to move to end-to-end encryption that's open source, that is safer and not controlled by billionaires, because nobody will listen to me. So that's kind of that first stage. Josh is maybe recalling a conversation that we had a little while ago where he's like, that sounds familiar. And then they're good to the advertisers, right? And so that gets all the advertisers on there, and you might have seen like you might recall when Facebook started doing really good ad rates. Google started doing really good ad rates, and they kind of monopolized the ad space. And then publishers that used to have people go to their websites to get the news or to get the articles or to get the whatever, started aggregating their stuff and started putting it out and whatever, and publishing on Facebook and publishing on YouTube and publishing on Medium and whatever. And once they capture advertisers, then they do what is best for their shareholders at the cost of what works for the advertisers and at the cost of what works for the users. And that's the final phase of enshittification, is where it comes full circle and it sucks for everyone, because it's not even good for the shareholders in the long run, because they make really short-term decisions like NFTs and what I think will happen with like everybody leaning into AI. Like they make these really trendy short-term decisions because it's like growth at any cost. The line must go up, all that kind of that type of theory. So that's enshittification as Cory Doctorow describes it. He actually gave a really good
Cory Doctorow
speech.
is just Cory pretending to be a doctor. I'm just saying that's why the name is a little sus there.
Yeah, I'm not that creative. But yeah, no, he Anyway, if you want to see a really good encapsulation of that, he gave a keynote speech at DEF CON this year, about a month ago, that kind of talks about what to do about that. Yeah. And so anyway, so that's, yeah. So what's happened recently, we don't need to, I feel like I'm talking too much already, but we don't need to go too much into this.
Kind of your topic. Like, yeah, Corey, this is like your cup of tea. Like, you should be talking a lot, more than I do.
Well, yeah, but I kind of want to get to more
right.
Rubber meets the road solutions rather than just like history. But basically, several years ago, major advertisers turned off a lot of their online advertising, and they saw zero negative effect to their online sales. Ooh. So there has been this idea that that this lie that we're being told that somehow that online advertising works isn't true, and you'll see little spikes where it does work in certain demographics. There are certain people that are very click happy on TikTok, for example. Like there's a younger adult tends to shop a lot more on TikTok than almost any other demographic. It's going to go away, but there's these little spikes where it kind of seems to work or whatever. But I mean, ask anybody what they do when you get a pre-roll ad on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Every single person hovers over that countdown to skip. Like if they let that 4th second go by, that somehow there's going to be like a nuclear winter or something. Like they don't want to watch 1 millisecond longer of that ad than they're being forced to. Yeah. And so it just doesn't work, right? And so there's that. And what's happening is you had all of these platforms, and there's the enshittification. There's a tipping point. We will, as users, stick around as long as the benefits slightly outweigh the crap. Mm. And as soon as you hit that tipping point of it's just not worth it, right? Then you leave. And I know a lot of artists on Instagram that were like, that's it. As soon as they came out and said we're gonna train we're gonna train our AI on your images. It's not like everybody was like 100% satisfied with Instagram, Meta, Facebook, Threads. Prior to that, everybody was like, this place sucks, but I'm still getting a little bit of benefit out of it, so I'll stick around. Like it's not enough to like entice me to action. Yeah. And that was that. And then there were a lot of people that were like, Twitter's terrible, but a lot of my friends are here. I get to follow some comic book creators. It's fine, right? Elon Musk buys it. He fires a bunch of teams that kept it from being, like just a cesspool of hate and vitriol and whatever. And everybody was like, breaking point. So a bunch of people left there. Or other breaking points are, he doesn't negotiate with Brazil, and a bunch of people go to Blue Sky or whatever. So there's these little points where large segments of a community are just like, F you, I'm out. And that's the tipping point where there's more crap than there is benefit. And that has happened so many times in the last 18 months that we have atomized to the point where you have Kara, you've got Mastodon, you've got Blue Sky, you've got, Behance is starting to have a resurgence. YouTube is starting to kind of lean into their type of thing. Threads claims to have had this like meteoric rise. They didn't get a meteoric rise. It was everybody that had an Instagram account automatically had a Threads account. And so it was like, we gained so many billion users in the first day. And it's like, yeah, did you though? But it felt empty. And so people are looking for an experience that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And can't exist anymore. And so that brings us to today. And maybe this is just the longest intro ever, a 19-minute intro. But that brings us to today. I'm very curious. The reason I brought this up is, what are you guys doing now? And I'll frame this way. I think as artists, as illustrators, animators, designers, as creatives, a long time ago, I recognized that I had been duped If you want to go watch that video, it's kind of me being really angry, and it's called I Regret Instagram. And I realized that I had stopped making art and I had started making content. And I forgot the reason to make that content was to get people to read, view, listen to, and watch my art. And so it's like, F that, I'm not doing content anymore. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to play your game. And maybe, I mean, you can threaten me all you want and say I'm not going to have whatever, but organic growth has been dead forever, except for TikTok. And I will argue organic growth on TikTok doesn't count because dancing poorly to crappy pop songs is not art. It's still content. It's just...
To tag onto that too, like with TikTok, it's not just about the vapid content, but it's actually worth less to advertisers too, because generally, like, people who are following, say, like somebody's, like following something on Twitch, right, where they're watching like a live streamer who they're investing, like, the person streaming like 5-6 hours a day or something. Every one of their followers is investing probably like an hour a day at least, with a social relationship with this creator or a parasocial relationship. So if they see an ad on that, they're much more likely to take action, or on YouTube where they have like personal connections with the creators. Whereas TikTok, like the majority of growth, it's really, I mean, this, Corey, it's like, it's hard for like 1 million followers on TikTok to translate to any sales.
Well, yeah,
and that's bizarre because like on YouTube, if you had 1 million followers and you said to those followers, like, hey, buy my product, like, you're not going to have trouble translating that sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
anyhow, so that's another reason, because TikTok, because of that short, vapid format, it's hard to make money as a creator with, Yeah,
I think because it's so short and people, they're not invested in who the creators are. I think it's just, oh, that's funny. And maybe it's like, I want to see more of this. They'll follow, but half the time they don't even know like the names. I remember there was a story a while back of somebody who had millions of followers on TikTok, huge celebrity on TikTok, went to a convention, like, it was for like a social media convention. They set up all these, the velvet ropes and all this stuff for the lines, and nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
Because, so it just doesn't translate to real life, or, I don't know.
Yeah, so
sorry, I derailed you.
No, you're fine. No, my question is this, like, because I think before we start having this discussion, and this is kind of like a design thinking methodology, whenever you're trying to solve a problem, it's very useful to go through like a process rather than just like, let's talk about something for an hour and we'll call it a meeting. Yeah. And in design thinking methodology, one of the most important things is to clearly identify the goals that you are trying to achieve or the problems that you're trying to solve. And so I want to ask both of you, why are you on social media? And then before we talk about like which platforms we're on and what we're trying to do there, but like, what would you mark as a success? And, because I think some people, and I'll say this, I'm kind of embarrassed about this, but like I deleted everything off of my phone because I was just like, this is so dumb and I'm wasting so much time. But then I went to post something, so I had to download Instagram again. And like, I laid on this couch back here for over an hour. I couldn't tell you a single thing that I looked at or watched. It was just a time suck, a giant waste of time. I didn't enjoy it. And at the end of that, I was pissed. It wasn't like I was like, well, that was a fulfilling use of my time, and I'm glad I did that. It was like, that was stupid, right? And I think a lot of people, and I don't want to be judgmental, but a lot of people are okay with numbing as a form of entertainment instead of actual entertainment or actual fulfillment or actual satisfaction. And so I know that most of the people in the chat and you two are not on social media for that, to be a consumer. And so if you're on social media to be a consumer, go enjoy YouTube Shorts, go enjoy TikTok, go enjoy Reels and all that garbage. That's fine. This is a different discussion. So Josh, what are the purposes or the things that you're trying to achieve on why you spend any time on social media.
So here's the fun part about my relationship with social media. I've never been good at it. um, and primarily what I'll use it for is like a way to post work, make people aware of the process of what I'm working on. But half of why I'm posting work isn't even for people. It's for me to have public accountability for producing art. And
Okay.
so to me, like that, I never got so heavily invested into like Instagram or any of them to where I was letting that overtake.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, pause.
Did we lose Josh or did we lose me?
Oh,
No, I can hear you.
I blipped
Josh.
for a second. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Oh, you're back now. You're back now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it just did that weird blip the screen, but I'm imagining that was on my end. Yeah, so I never had I always thought it was a mistake on my part to not focus on social media. And the fact that I was always focused on just making the art, and then social media was just kind of like a byproduct where I could like maybe publicly post some stuff about what I did very quickly with like little investment. And now I'm really happy about that because I have a lot of work to show, and like I've never got so invested in any social media to where it really mattered, like the kind of depth of it. I use Facebook like most people my age, where it's a nice way for me to keep up with families and friends of mine that live in different states and what they're up to. Um, it's not as useful as it used to be for even that. And then Twitter used to be really fun because it's a crap show of just vitriol and anger, and that can be fun sometimes if I'm like mad about a topic or curious about like a news related topic to kind of search it on there. Now it's less reliable in that sense and way more vitriolic, and so it's almost taken the fun out of the crap show that's always been Twitter. Now that it's X, it's like just dropped any guise of anything but the crap show, and so it's less fun. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's kind of like a non-answer, but I guess it's like what I mostly use social media for is, obviously reaching out to people, but primarily like keeping in touch with people I know, and keeping myself accountable publicly to deliver stuff. But I'm a horrible social media user. I always have been. So, yeah.
Scott, why are you on social media?
So I'm on social media because I have been, but technically I'm not really because I don't really. I say don't take advantage of it, but in a lot of cases that's probably to my benefit because a lot of times it's a waste of time. I mean, I think I use Facebook mostly for instant messenger, but like Corey said, there's probably a better solution out there, but we haven't all migrated to whatever that is.
There are, and we should.
Okay. Well, we'll have. Yeah. I mean, we don't have a huge community. I mean, so it probably wouldn't be too hard to get all 8 of us or whatever to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signal.
So
we need to get on Signal.
Okay. Yeah, and as these guys will tell you, throughout those various, I think there's 3 kind of separate communities that kind of sometimes come together between our basically the Artcasters, the Making Comics guys, and then. Like Jim and Gary. That's kind of the group and those guys I'm sure will tell you that I'm probably the least active on that just because for one, texting, like typing things out isn't my favorite way to communicate because I'm, even though now, we've got, it'll spell check me and everything. So it's not as bad, but it's not my favorite way to communicate. And a lot of times I just get so involved with my work. I just don't take the time to check that stuff or whatever. So I don't really like it. I mean, I think if it had more of a benefit, and I will get into, I think we're going to get into like Substack and things like that, which I do like, and I do see a good response from that in comparison to pretty much everything else. And whether you group YouTube in with social media, I love YouTube. I love making videos. I love making video content.
Yeah,
but
I
lately
love
I feel like just my channel is pretty much dead. I mean, I have what over 25,000 subscribers, and currently, if I post a video, it might get 100 views within like the first couple days.
And so that's a big part of the process. And Creed brought this up. I feel like this is a good comment to kind of encapsulate what's happening to you on YouTube, because I think it's happened on every major platform. I grew a big following on Facebook long ago, and then they changed it so that nobody saw anything. Mm-hmm. I posted on Instagram for years almost every day, and then they changed it so that nobody saw anything. Now I'm building a following on Blue Sky, and it's only going to go up, right? And so, yeah, that's a major part of it. and it used to bother me because it didn't make any sense, because I was thinking, like, why wouldn't you give people what they want, right? But in actuality, they don't want to give the users what they want, because, and I've said this before, I remember saying this on 48-hour Art Check to Josh, we're not the users, we're not the customers, and we're not the product, right? And so when they're, so what we are is we are the mountain that is being strip mined for all of our value to be left destitute and destroyed afterwards.
Yeah.
And so it's not that old phrase is a little bit wrong, where it says, if you're not paying for it, then you're not the customer, you're the product. And it's like, no, I'm the rainforest that they're strip mining. Right? That's true. And that's what it is, because they don't care. They don't care if they destroy you in the process. And that is a documented series of facts. Like, you can go one after the other. They are very aware. Meta is very aware that there is a direct 1-to-1 correlation between anxiety and depression, body dysmorphia and eating disorders in adolescent girls, and use of their platform. And they figured out how to turn it off and decided not to, because it cost them 1% of their profit. They are very aware that they're doing this. And there's time and time again, they're very aware of these types of things. So one of the reasons why I want to say, like, define what it is, and I'll tell you why I'm on social media. So it's one, the original reason was because I thought it would be fun, and I thought it would be an easy way to keep in touch with whoever wanted to keep in touch without me having to go to a lot of effort. Right. So that sounds terrible, but, like, there's a bunch of people in my congregation that I grew up with that I don't keep in contact with. But if they want to, like, look at pictures of my kids or see what's going on with my family, they feel like they're still in contact, and it's great. Right. And every once in a while I'll bump into them at Christmas or something, and they'll say, hey, I saw that, Roz did this or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's a major part of social media. Right. Yeah. Another part of it for me is like this type of community for me never would have happened. I don't live in an area where there's a thriving art scene. Yeah. And being part of the Artcasters, being part of the Artcasters community before I was a host, it was really awesome from a friendship standpoint, from a creative standpoint, from like a community.
Was really just highlighting was really awesome.
Artcasters is in stage 3 of enshittification. I am no longer getting what I want. No, but I get to talk to like-minded friends who have similar interests and a similar drive. It is very uncommon to find people who are the same level of effort and dedication to something that they don't have to do as this community. And so that's a big one for me. And then the last one, frankly, is I'm not making this stuff in a vacuum. I want people to see it, and that could be financial. It isn't right now because I'm not really pushing towards that, but, like, I would like an audience. I'm not drawing a comic so that nobody reads it. I'm drawing a comic so that as many people read it as possible, right? I'm not making videos for myself. I'm making videos because I enjoy making videos, but I'm also making videos with an audience in mind. And so there is a bit of audience building, community building, networking, whatever you want to call that. But, like, I'd like to be able to, a couple of years from now, have a few hundred pages of this book done and kickstart it and have people show up to the Kickstarter. And so that's a major part of social media for me. So those are my 3 main things. The first one I don't need social media for. I've got a cell phone. I can just text people, or whatever. The second one, there's a lot of other stuff that I don't need social media for, but Social media facilitates it better than a lot of the other ones. And the third one, I think what Creed pointed out, I think is a major thing. In stage one, there's this beautiful organic growth, and you get to reach your audience. If you want to read a great book about stage one, read The Icarus Deception by Seth Godin. And what's interesting is I read that book years ago, probably 8 years ago. And Paul is asking who here is on OnlyFans. Just my feet, Paul. Just my feet.
You'd have to find out what our alt names are, Paul, and that you will never know.
Yeah, and I don't shave my big toe, so I don't know if you're into that. But
that's actually funny because, Corey, you and I are like competing for different interests because all I do is shave my big toe. Like, I just zoom in on the big toe with the razor. On the big toe. And it's got like
the content is you shaving.
Exactly, yeah, and it's got like a little audio quality to it too, where you hear the. Anyhow,
yeah. Kate brings this up, and maybe this will be a good transition into the next part. As an art student, this social media stuff stresses me out. They tell us that we need to have an online presence, but I've been on Instagram for years, and it doesn't seem to do anything.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
At risk of derailing, this is just one thought that I'm curious what your take on it is, Corey, because a lot of this could be specific to social media, and I know there are specifically unique things to social media, but how much of this is just capitalism and cool things? Because like in general, like, I used to live in Long Beach for a really long time, right? And that's like, that city is like constantly being gentrified, right? So you'll have one part of town in Long Beach when I lived there that would have like the coolest bookstore, the coolest pub, like the coolest everything. And it was like the hip place to be, and it's where all the college kids would go, and all the artists and stuff would be there because like the cool bands were playing there, and the bands that were about to get signed would start. Everybody would be there, and then within a year, you'd have a yard house open, and the whole thing would just get lame. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like a strip mall would open, and a yard house, and then all the chain stores, and you'd see the mom and pops just disappear, and all the things that made it cool. It's like the cool rock band that suddenly gets played on ABC News or something, and then it's like it's not cool anymore.
So here's my theory. And I mean, if anybody wants to know where I'm getting a lot of this information, Gary Marcus on AI is on Substack. Cory Doctorow, Molly White. There's a lot of these types of things that they're analyzing kind of what's going on, and I agree with a little bit of what everybody's saying, and I kind of go through and form my own opinion based on these types of things. But if the only information that you're getting on big tech is from news organizations that are owned by billionaires, you're probably not receiving much of the critical side of that argument. And so anyway, the FCC chair, at least for the next few weeks, she is legit, man, and she's going after everybody, and that's it makes me sad that we're going to put billionaires in charge of regulating billionaires, but that's a whole different discussion. But I think that a normal, like, think back to like economics. Like, did you guys take any economics courses? Like, product life cycle is a normal thing. Like a product will, some of them have short life cycles, like the pet rock. Some of them have longer.
Pet rock lives on, my friend. It lives on. But
Sure. But it only lives on because it's had a resurgence because of nostalgia, which nostalgia comes up every 20 years, right? And so every 20 years there's a nostalgia cycle, which will give older products a little bit of a resurrection. But a normal product life cycle is a rise, a moment of popularity, a decline, and death. And that is normal, right? But we have experienced, and in capitalism, when you have a healthy market, there is competition, And the normal life cycle of a product or service is served best by letting things die and be replaced by better things, right? And so if you have regulation that keeps things from harming the environment and harming people and relying on labor practices that aren't okay and those types of things, and a major thing, you have regulation that prevents oligarchs from having monopolies, duopolies, and monopsonies, then you have a healthy market. And a healthy market, things live and die. And so a sign of an unhealthy marketplace is where you have what we've had for the last 15 years, or the last 20 years, which is in the tech space, there was a period where it seemed like no product or service would die. It seems like Adobe's going to stick around forever. Everybody's always going to be on Facebook and YouTube. Google is going to be the only search engine. Microsoft and Apple are going to be the only operating systems, and that's it. Nothing will ever change for the rest of eternity. That's what it feels like, and that's why I think Kate is feeling this anxiety or insecurity or confusion or stress that's happening, is because if you think of everything through the lens of this stability, then this moment that we're having right now of massive instability, of disruption, of destruction and death that's happening to these services that frankly should have died 10 or 12 years ago, because Facebook has sucked for a decade. It was great at the beginning. It was not great after that. It hasn't been great for a long time. They have just been killing off or purchasing all of their competitors. Amazon is not good. It's not just that they make their drivers pee in bottles because they have terrible work practices and that they're, we're just totally crapping on poor countries by having them develop all of this disposable garbage. It's also just not good anymore. Nobody can find what they want. It's all this weird stuff. Like, the first few pages of every search are now paid for ads. Like, there's nothing about the platform that's good, but where else do you go? Because they've spent 10 to 15 years killing all of their competitors. There used to be an open and free market where if I wanted shoes, I would go to multiple websites to shop for shoes, not just one place. If I wanted a widget, I would go to the place that was the most likely to sell that widget, and then I would price compare and I would look at their competitors and I would do that. All of that is dead now, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. And so we are experiencing a delayed reaction to what should have happened or should have been continuing to happen, which is, I bet I could do that better. I bet if I treated customers better and I didn't do these types of things, that I could beat them out. And you would see this healthy competition where products, services, and new companies come to replace the old giant, monolithic, horrible, enshittified companies. And so I would agree with you that is a normal and natural state, but capitalism doesn't work when you don't without any guardrails. You have to have certain things in there so that we don't just have people saying, I'm going to take a Tommy gun and I'm just going to mow my competition down. I'm just going to murder anybody that tries to compete with me. Or, what would be really great is I'm just going to have slaves. I'm just going to have slaves, and then I lower my costs and I raise my profits. Like, there are certain things that we all agree are beyond the pale or outside of what we consider appropriate.
Well, some of us agree, apparently. Like, some of us, right? Some
but
of
I mean,
us may not. Yeah.
But I mean, if you truly believe in a completely unregulated market, and I used to get very upset with people that would tell me this because I used to believe this.
Yeah.
If you truly believe in a completely unregulated market, then you have to accept that common language and competitive nature is not on quality, quantity, price, and availability. It's on violence.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Because that's the level that until we all agree that there are certain bounds and conditions by which we will all operate.
Yep.
Then the bottom line is might. It's who is strongest, who has the most guns,
Yep.
I saw this recently. Which army wears pants? That was why Genghis Khan did so well, is they fought in thistles and everybody else was wearing skirts and he wore pants. And so his army beat everybody. But I mean, like,
also, we all have about like 1% of his DNA, like almost every single human on the planet, which is insane to think about. But if you look at, like, if you guys are ever bored and you want to be a history geek, just look up the stats on 23andMe and how much connection there is to Genghis Khan in like most human beings. It's shocking.
Genghis.
Yeah.
That wild man. From Bill he seems so charming in Bill and Ted's, you know?
Right. Gary's arguing with me about Amazon, and that might be a debate for another time.
I would say I would kind of yeah, we'll have to have that at another time, because I kind of, when you were saying nobody likes Amazon, I'm like, Amazon's great. Like, I mean, I don't ethically like it, but man, I can order something I need and in 2 days it's like 1 day it's there. I don't pay shipping. Everything I need is pretty much on there.
You do pay
convenient.
shipping. You prepaid shipping. So they have a network effect that goes on with Amazon where it's like Costco, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh, I'm getting such savings, but it costs me $100 a year. If you add up the savings that you get, it's actually less than $100. If you add up the savings that you get from Amazon with your Prime membership, and the fact that it is built into the cost, selling on Amazon, as somebody who I took a company,
horrible for sellers.
Yeah, well, I took a company. Tell me how this is good for the marketplace.
Yeah.
I took a company from having no sales online to the first year we did $300,000, and then 4 years later we were doing over $3 million a year in sales.
Yeah.
I know a lot about how the online sales market works.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that that in certain categories, and they fluctuate. This is a thing called twiddling. They fluctuate. In certain categories, there are people that are paying 20% or more in fees to Amazon for the privilege of selling their product on Amazon. And that means that doesn't mean that company is losing money.
Yeah.
That means that the customer is losing out. And there have been studies done that at the beginning of any monopolistic practice, the customers get an incredible deal. Prices are low and everybody gets things really fast, and quality is good, right? Because that's the capture of the market at that point in time. Yeah. After that period of time, after you get out of that capture, once you're in the walled garden and you don't realize that the walled garden is a prison, then prices are actually more expensive than they were prior to that monopolistic practice. And so I would agree that we may be in a period where there is a slight amount of convenience that we have gotten used to. One, you're paying for that convenience. It's not a benefit to you. You bought it. You bought the shipping ahead of time with the membership. And two, that is not something that is going to last.
I agree.
In fact, in my area, I don't get 2-day shipping. Even when I was paying for Prime, I'm too rural.
Well, that's one of those moments of that's a good argument. That's very anti-libertarian there, Corey.
I never claimed to be a libertarian.
When you got shipping that's controlled by a company, like, why would they offer the quick shipping to any smaller area, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah,
right.
That's
for that matter, why should I get electricity or running water? Because there's not enough of a population center where I am for that to be profitable. Anyway, that's all beside the point. So let's take it to the next level.
Okay.
Now that we have this situation, right? We are in the midst of a very slow atomization of what seemed like a stable environment, right? Mm-hmm. And if anybody is older than 35 will remember when the internet was significantly different, and the internet was a bunch of competitive websites, and you would go to an illustrator's website. Like when I first got into webcomics, people would go to the webcomic artist's website, and they would read the comic on their website. There wasn't
company websites, every website, you type it in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are lots of people in the chat calling me a buzzkill, and
No.
I own it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to kill the buzz if the buzz is coming from you guys being poisoned and destroyed.
Yeah, you guys,
So
and
I will
also
kill
we're
that
all
buzz.
wage slaves. Okay, we're all wage slaves. Wake up!
I don't mind being a wage slave because I like what the wage can buy me. That's a value exchange. So now we have a situation where most of the major platforms that probably in art school they're still telling people like, you need a presence, you need to be on these places, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. It's like 10 years ago somebody got on Instagram and they blew up, and now they're making their whole career off of doing commissions. It's like,
Yeah.
that's great. That's not something that is possible anymore
Yeah.
on Instagram. So where do we go from here? I've got a couple of options, but I kind of want to know for your community building, audience building, reader acquisition, or whatever you want to call, like, hey, people look at my stuff. What are you guys seeing? What are you guys using?
So for me, it's email list, which is for me right now is Substack. Now, Substack also has a whole other social media angle, which so far I've been getting, good response and good traction from. I just don't post there quite as often as like somebody like Corey, which is something I get to work on. But that email list itself, and I've had an email list for a while. I build it up. Anyone that's ever downloaded my Comic Maker Starter Kit enrolls in my email. Anyone that stays on my email gets something for free every single month. So I've got a pretty decent following on there to start off with. I mean, I see people that just start start on Substack, and it's like oh, it's celebrating they got 100 followers, and then I'm like, wow, man, I'm really ahead of the game here. I need to take advantage of this because I was able to port all my email list subscribers on there. But one thing that happened when I switched over from MailChimp to Substack is I just started getting way more engagement whenever I put out an email, which is my frequency right now is about once a month. I put out my email list.
Yeah.
And like I said, and Corey can probably talk to this, I'm sure, the whole Substack's notes, which is sort of their social media, which is separate, but they can kind of work in tandem. But email list for me is that's the big one.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think I've been preaching that for a long time, but I think that is a very solid strategy. It's being called something else today, and I can't remember what it's called, but 15 years ago, they called it the hub and spoke model, where you have a hub that you control, and then everything else is a spoke that drives to the hub. There is a new version of that that is starting to come out, where instead of building an audience on a platform, you do everything on your website, and then there's some code that you program that pushes that content out to other platforms. And so with the intention of everything driving back, and so it's a little bit of that. But I would agree, and I think Substack is a really good one that we can talk about in a minute.
I want to add that the one thing that I forgot to mention is the great thing about the email list is that you own it, whereas there's no other social media that you own. Now, Substack could kind of go through that whole inshitification process. They probably will.
They will.
But as long as you're, it's kind of like, it's almost like you're like, what's the next thing? While this thing, once you start to see it go downhill, it's like, okay, I got to get out of this. But the good thing is, if you have the email, you can take your audience with you. I took my audience from MailChimp to Substack, and if Substack goes down that road, I can take it somewhere else.
And this is where there's a really important piece of legislation that is being debated right now, and this is where I think, and you will hear lots of people say lots of inaccurate things, because this would be the absolute death of any of the old and shitified platforms that refuse to do things that are good for the users, but it is interoperability. And the EU has been playing with it, and it's kind of the idea of what we were talking about before. I think Facebook Messenger is garbage. I hate everything about it. And I know that we are being spied on, and that the things that we are talking about are being tied to our identities, and that is being bought and sold on the data market. And I hate everything. I hate everything about it. But that's where my friends are. So that's where I'm doing. If we had legislation that said that you had to have interoperable features, then I could be on Signal, which is protected. Other people could be on other platforms, and you would have API hooks that would connect those types of things. And so that's how Facebook started, is they said, hey, you don't have to leave your friends on MySpace, because we'll just go scrape all the data on MySpace and show you what they're doing on MySpace in this much cleaner format. And so everybody came over because it was interoperable, and then they closed the gate on the walled garden, and now everybody was trapped. And so, yeah, I agree that one of the few things out there, there's two things. One is RSS, and the other one is email. Because I did the same thing. I was on MailChimp. I was on something else before, and I brought over a couple hundred people with me that had met me at a show, or had subscribed to my comic 12 years ago that I was doing, or had done whatever, and they've just been with me ever since. And when I was like, I'm done with this and I'm going somewhere else, a lot of them didn't even notice, because they're still getting emails. And as long as they have that email address, they'll do that. And if they care and they get rid of that email address, they can sign up with an email address. If they don't care, then they can go. And that's the nice thing about that, is in the email relationship, no one is forced. Right? Because at any point in time, somebody can unsubscribe, and they choose to not see my stuff anymore. But if they choose to see my stuff, then Zuckerberg or Bezos or whoever doesn't get to decide that they do or don't. It's not like Elon is going to be like, no, not that guy. It's going to be like, no, they signed up with their email address. They get an email. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. I think another really compelling solution would be guillotines returning. That's something I'm starting to kind of back the idea of more and more lately. But no, what I think that here's the thing, in my opinion. Okay, like whatever we use social media wise, don't fall for the trap of stopping making great stuff. Because here's the thing, as artists, we gotta be artists first. And if you're not an artist first, and you're becoming the social media guy first, or the mailing list guy first, or the Substack guy first, or the YouTube guy first, whatever it is, like, no, like the art has to come first. Like, and in my opinion, that's the thing. Like, make the good thing, and then everything else focus on, sure, whatever, promote, whatever. But first, cook a really good steak before you're worried about selling it. You know what I mean? That's my point. Is like I think especially with the advent of AI, and where we're going to see a lot of commercial artists getting replaced, because a lot of corporations, Corey and I have talked about this. Corporations view you as human capital, right? Like, you're just kind of a number. You're a number. You're a product. And not all corporations, like, there's good humans who built really nice businesses and really care about people and want to provide a good service. But in general, profit motive requires, people to be numbers. And in that kind of state where that's going to be the incentive that's trying to keep people from using AI to replace people, it's just not going to happen. Like, I'm not saying we can't legislate against AI. We can't fight against it. We can't, hopefully it kills itself or eats itself or whatever. But my point is, because of the coming problems that are going to happen with art, where you're going to have a lot of non-artists claiming to be artists, you're going to have a lot of, non-musicians saying, hey, I made music. Look at me. I typed a prompt. Don't forget the importance of making the cool thing. The whole point is to make the cool thing. Like, and to me, I think when people lose sight of that and replace it with social media and buy the lie of social media, that they're the cool thing. No, you're the cool thing. You're the cool thing that's going to cause all the people to gentrify the neighborhood and ruin the cool thing you are. Right?
Right.
You're the cool thing that AI is mining and trying to become, right? Don't stop being that cool thing. Like, you got to start making the thing, make the good things, and then, yeah, like, use social media as a byproduct. So whether that's to promote, I love the idea of mailing lists, and I love the idea of Substack, and if I have time, I will rock that business. But at the end of the day, the one thing I'm really thankful about in the last few years is I haven't forgotten that the point is to make the good work, and then the other stuff, make the good work first. Like,
because there's an interesting thing going on that I don't think a lot of people think about. Quietly, there are artists that are freaking killing it, and they're not even on social media.
Yep.
And they're making a full-time living being an artist, and they're doing their thing, and people love them, and you can't find them anywhere online.
Yep.
So that's possible, you know. Okay, let's do a lightning round. Okay. Without any discussion, let's see how good Josh and I are going to
Corey, can we keep that?
So without any discussion, thumbs up, thumbs down, or eh. Okay. And by this I mean just through the lens of, and I'm curious on everybody in the chat as well. Just through the lens of, as a creator on that platform, not as a consumer or user of that platform, but as a practitioner trying to build an audience. Okay. Facebook.
Sorry, just up or down, or
up, down, or kind of, yeah.
Are we saying like whether they work for us or?
Yeah, I'm saying
creators?
You personally as an artist, is it something? Is it maybe we could do? It's not something I do, but it's something I'm interested in, or it is something I do, but it's not working, or it used to work and it's not working. I don't know, whatever kind of metric, but just generally speaking. So, Facebook.
I know it's weird. I'm gonna do this just because there's so many people I keep in touch with it.
As a creator or as a person that has like?
Oh, as a creator, I'm gonna go like.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul says Facebook is a thumbs up. How about Instagram?
Instagram.
Okay. How about Threads?
I don't know yet.
Don't use it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I signed up for it recently, and I will say I get more responses on Threads than I do on the Musk machine.
Okay. How about X, formerly known as Twitter?
I'm not even. I think I still have an account. Can I put? Yeah, I mean that's like the most. I mean, it's just.
Well, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go side.
I remember loving Twitter back in the day. But,
yeah, I loved Twitter. I've nuked my account, but I still post. Whenever I post a Substack, one of the places I post a link is Twitter. So I think I have to go sideways, but it's I'm not on there.
Yeah, I still post something I'm posting everywhere else, but yeah. And I will say this again: Twitter, as a guy who likes debate and stuff like that, it was a fun crap show. But at this point, it's gotten so lopsided; it's kind of hard to even enjoy the crap show anymore.
Okay, and I'm very curious on Scott's reaction to this one. How about YouTube?
YouTube. I still love YouTube, even though. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, and I since we're talking about YouTube, Kevin had a comment saying that, I don't know what's back there, I won't pull it up, but he had mentioned that he feels like he's got a dying channel too. The one thing I will say, Kevin, if you're still watching this, is that I looked at your latest video, and views aren't everything. You've got a lot of engagement for the amount of views you had in your comment section. You had a lot of engagement, and that's what. I hardly get any engagement anymore. Yeah. So, that's why I'm thinking of just starting over on YouTube, because I think my channel's dead, and I think I have a better opportunity with all those subscribers or followers. I think I have a better subscribers. I think I have a better opportunity to reach people if I just start from scratch without any of the other stuff that's attached to my channel bogging it down.
I still think Kevin and I need to do our AM radio. That should be our next We had a
Dude, you
bit
guys should-
on
you-
Big
you
Illustration
guys
Party
should-
Time where we were. I can't remember. It was like somebody in the Nuge, and we just
You
make
guys
like
should
fart
bring
noises
back-
all the time.
You guys should bring back Big Illustration Party Time just on YouTube.
Just on YouTube. I think Kevin's doing good. You guys see the stuff Kevin's doing.
I like-
if you guys
I like
aren't
the videos
checking out
Kevin's
Kevin's
doing right now.
stuff, it's
Yeah.
art. He's making art.
Okay, so those are. would
Oh
you
wait,
agree
Corey,
that
what
those-
about you? YouTube, you did do a thumbs.
I
up?
give thumbs up. I'm thumbs
Yeah,
up on
yeah.
YouTube.
I love you.
I like YouTube is. I would agree with Dylan. Dylan said a while ago that people are claiming that YouTube is like on easy mode, and I think YouTube is extremely difficult to grow on,
Yeah.
but it is still one of the places where you can have evergreen content, where you get paid for your content. It's not great, but you get paid for your content. But I have made thousands of dollars in like product deals. That's better than the YouTube AdWords. So like AdWords suck, but like I'm drawing on a Cintiq I didn't pay for. I'm drawing on a Move Ink I didn't pay for. I'm sitting in a chair I didn't pay for.
Well, I'll
like-
say this too. I got a bigger check from YouTube than any other social media platform. Like I'm not getting
Yeah.
big checks, but I'm just
Right.
saying at least I'm getting checks.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. So as far as it's like I think it could be better, but it's definitely one of the thumbs up for me.
Oh, Corey, do you think that might
yeah.
also be because here's the thing about YouTube that I will give credit to. Like, I know that views wane and people struggle to sometimes like grow content and stuff. But one thing I've noticed about YouTube that they haven't done yet is they haven't like completely corrupted or changed the things that are working. In the sense of content creation, like it's still a very simple system, and I haven't seen them mess with it too much to where it's like a totally different thing.
They try to, but they don't change their main core competency.
Yeah,
But they push shorts hard because everybody TikTok disrupted everything, and so everybody started having their version of TikTok. You got YouTube Shorts and Reels and IGTV and
true,
whatever. And so they've done that, but I would agree. You make a video, you put a video up.
Yeah.
That's been pretty decent and fairly consistent.
It is the hardest to do content for because you have to make video. I mean, you could just turn a camera on and some people have super success with that. Just turn the camera on, talk or whatever. But it isn't like just an easy post. So YouTube is harder in that respect.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
which I actually
you have to have.
Which I actually think is a benefit.
Yeah, if you're going to do
because there's a bit of a natural filter because it's a little bit more difficult, right? Whereas the people that are just going to be like, well, all the people that you were competing with a couple of years ago on Amazon print on demand, where it was just like, just do whatever, and I put up 400 books a day, and it's like
all those people are just typing prompts right now, just killing rainforests, like burning
AI.
Absolutely. Just a cesspool of garbage content. I can't even imagine how bad everything is right now in KDP.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
But for YouTube, that we haven't had that as much. Okay, I mean, can we? None of us are really gamers in the traditional sense, I guess. So like Twitch and Mixer and all those. I'm just going to skip those. How about YouTube Community tab?
Oh,
I pushed the wrong button.
I need to. I probably should take advantage of that more than I do. But I'm kind of haven't got a huge, just like anything. Lately, I haven't got a lot of engagement, but I put it up there. I'll give it a thumbs up.
I like the idea of it, but I don't think anybody sees it or looks at it.
Yeah,
I put stuff up,
okay.
and I put stuff up, and I get nothing from it.
Yeah.
Okay. How about let's go into some of the. We'll go into some of the more well-known indie ones. So Blue Sky.
Not on it, but I've heard good things. But I still think I think right now, because it's just starting off, it's probably a good thing. Eventually, it's just going to go. I mean, they're all going to do the same thing.
All of it's
so
too early to see for me. I guess on all of these ones we're going to go into. But right now, I'm optimistic.
I will 100% agree that every one of these should and will die an ignominious death. But so we're just talking about right now.
And I'm just going to make the argument right now, hashtag return to Tom. Okay, we need to migrate back to MySpace. We left the promised land of glitter GIFs and more forum-based social media kind of content for the slicker, smoother tech bros in San Francisco. And what did they do? They destroyed it. So return to Tom.
Gary's saying, I just want to get to some of these. Everybody's answering. I want you guys to keep answering. Okay. YouTube's algorithm works for him in the sense that it suggests content that he's actually interested in. And then somebody was mentioning Amazon. Dylan was mentioning Amazon added a type of social media. I've noticed in their reviews now, they're trying to do like social media style reviews, which is interesting. And Keeman says that Twitch is a win. Because most of his community grew from there, which is cool, right? That's one of the things that I like about a lot of these things is, you could do that. So, okay. So let's start with, Blue Sky for me, I don't want to go totally meh, but I'm going to be like, not quite a thumbs up because I don't participate. But it's kind of like I just drop stuff off on Blue Sky and then I leave. So it's fine.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I've got 48 followers. It's not like I used a tool that went out and scraped my my Twitter account and my Instagram account to locate anybody that I was following or that was following me on Twitter or on Instagram, and then I followed them on Blue Sky. So I'm following quite a few people.
Oh, that's smart. You should, at some point after the semester's over, you're going to have to explain to me that thing, because I have a couple new social media accounts that I'd love to do that with, because my followers. Yeah, you'd have to Google it. But I was able to find almost 400 people from those other platforms that are on Blue Sky now. I love it.
So potentially whatever. How about Kara or Kara? I don't know
anything about Kara.
Not even really familiar with it.
So it came about as a reaction to everybody having their stuff scraped by AI.
Oh, okay.
And so it's built by artists. It has Nightshade baked into it so that when you post something, you have the option of poisoning it so that it destroys AI. It also has, if you look at my thing, you've got a portfolio tab where you can specifically section off things just for your portfolio. So it's built for artists, and then you've got a timeline of just the things that you're talking about. I think it's cool. Keenan says that he prefers Kara or Kara. And if anybody tells me how to pronounce it, I will just agree with them because I have no idea. Over DeviantArt, I got really annoyed at DeviantArt once they just fully bought into AI. And the fact that it took them like 8 to 12 years to finally get an app. I was very active on DeviantArt a decade ago. Creed tried Vera too, but he forgot about it and never went back. And I'm the same. I still think I have the icon on my phone, but the app has been deleted to save space because I don't use it. Kara, I think, could be good, but it hasn't really taken off. How about Behance?
I haven't been on there in a while. I used to really like Behance just for inspiration.
Yeah.
Same thing with I don't know if you're going to mention this, if it's a social media or not, but Pinterest is the same thing.
Pinterest is great for inspiration for sure. Still is.
It's great for inspiration. It's terrible for organic growth. I was in the beta group before they released it to the public.
Nice. I was in the alpha group. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you were.
I'm sorry.
No, I think I still have like 4,500 followers on Pinterest.
Yeah.
It is crickets, man, every time I post anything of my own.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I did one, this will tell you how long ago this is. I did one still life illustration from like my master's degree, that continues to be my most pinned pin. It's like, and it's just I don't know. It got stolen and used on a bunch of blog posts about still life illustration, and so it's kind of like one of those internet images, kind of like that R2D2 pixel art that I did that got stolen and turned into a quilting pattern,
Yeah.
and then it just is on the internet now as a bunch of
Isn't that
quilts.
the weirdest thing? Like, I still have illustrations that live on that, like, no one knows I did. Like, and if I show them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that," and it's like, yeah, but like, there's no
Yeah,
like connect
right.
that to me. It makes me really empathize with the everything's fine guy. Like, that must be so cool,
Right.
but also irritating because it's like, even now I don't remember his name. He's a cartoonist. It's great, but
Sure.
everything's fine. Oh, I remember that image. It's like the
Okay,
one
how
hit
about,
wonders of our generation.
How about Mastodon?
Mastodon, I
No.
want to like because it just sounds like the metal band. So I'm like, hey, I'm down.
I will tell you, the Fediverse, which has kind of come up in the comments a couple of times, I think is a fascinating idea. I think it could be the future of the internet if things go well, but I don't think things are going to go well. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a meh because it's cool. And you can meet some cool people and everything, but you are going to find that it's the open source crowd,
Yeah.
right? They don't like buying things.
Mm.
So with Mastodon, you can find a community of people, of like-minded people. There's one I forgot to open a tab on, but remind me to talk about Reddit. But it's not I don't think it's good for artistic, like, audience building.
Oh, you know what? I was gonna say this about Reddit. We should start an Artcasters Reddit at some point. If anyone wants to like start setting that up, like a Reddit
Yeah.
for Artcasters, that I think that would be brilliant because I find Reddit is very good for quickly sharing things with people. Like, it is a very active community. It can be pretty hateful and horrible, but Reddit's alive and well. It's been
So the
rocking
cool,
kind of under the radar for 20 plus years, and
I
the thing I like about it is it hasn't changed much, and
it still looks like Craigslist.
yeah, but it functions, and
No, that's
it's
what I'm
fun.
saying.
Yeah,
As a good thing, I think that's good
Yeah.
that it hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
I would agree with everything you just said. I don't know if I have enough. I don't know if I have enough points
bandwidth
or whatever.
to run.
No, you have to have a certain amount of whatever the in-game currency is on Reddit to start a subreddit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I might. I don't know. I'll have to look. But I
It'd
would
be
love to.
fun
I'd
to
love to
get.
do that.
Yeah, I'd love to get an Artcasters
No, that
Reddit
sounds
going.
cool.
Hey, real quick, one other thought. I know I keep doing these weird ones, but this does make me think of something like, like there's these iconic venues that rock bands played at, right? Like you have like CBGBs, like in LA you have the Troubadour, right? You have like all these like iconic venues that musicians play in, and the thing I wanted to kind of mention to all of us is like I do think kind of reframing social media as a venue, it's like to kind of highlight what Corey was saying about the rise and fall of things.
Yeah.
When you're in a band, you'll play coffee shops. It's the coolest coffee shop in the world. You have like a huge audience that shows up and then they close in a month. And that's going to happen. And what do you do as a band? You stop playing? No, you just find a different venue. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Right.
And I do think like if we start framing this as these are gigs where you're playing for a crowd, and sometimes it's a crowd of 3, but you're playing a gig, and if the hall that you're playing in that somebody was renting out shuts down, throw a party in your friend's backyard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I love the idea of being less wedged or attached to different social media. The only problem is also people's bandwidth, because it
Yeah.
is a pain to set up and kind of show up and
think
we
the
have this
biggest
attention span that's limited.
the
So,
biggest thing about the biggest bandwidth issue is moderation. Because if you
yeah.
start a subreddit and you don't have moderators, then
Oh,
it's just going to turn into a porn terrorist nightmare.
yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so the last one I wanted to bring up was Substack. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Substack's
Thumbs up.
interesting to me. I haven't gone there yet, but I will say thumbs up in the sense that everything you've said about it interests me. And
Do you subscribe to any Substacks?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to 2.
Okay.
3. My good
All right.
friend Alan Noble, the writer, too.
Oh, cool. I
And then these gents
so
up here.
so far, I like everything about Substack. I think there's a couple things that are kind of annoying, but they're more of a community situation where it's like the posts that you see getting pushed a lot are the "I'm new here," and then the other one is "Oh, I figured out how to game the system." So you have a lot of people that have come from LinkedIn trying to
God.
make Substack like LinkedIn, where it's like, let's figure out how to game the algorithm. What I like about Substack is mostly the community is like, get off my frickin' lawn, man. Go somewhere else with that sales bro crap.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, get out of here. We don't care, right? It's a community for writers and readers that is also growing into something because they did a big investment in comic books a number of years ago. There's a bunch of comic book creators that were given like a stipend to be like, hey, come to the platform and do stuff. And you had Scott, why am I blanking on his name? Schneider,
yeah.
I took his course. It was great. The thing I like about Substack, I'll go with 3 things. One, the email list that Scott already mentioned. I think that's great. And I can download my email list at any point in time. If Substack, when Substack becomes enshittified, I will download my email list and we will move together to a different place.
When you're saying that, are you saying enshittified or engitified? I don't. It sounds like you're saying enshittified. Am I crazy?
That is the term.
Because that's what
Okay,
it
I
turns
love
into.
that. Okay, I just
That
want to
is
make
the-
sure I was hearing that right because I've heard it like
That's-
said a couple times, and I'm like, am I just teaching high school too much and starting to hear really bad words? Or okay,
Nope, that's the term that Cory Doctorow came up with.
I love it.
So one is the email thing. Another one is people, and this is something that the comic lab guys, Brad Geiger pointed out, is people are there specifically with commerce in mind.
Yeah,
And so there is an expectation that at some point some of your audience may switch over to a paid membership, right? And so it's kind of got a little bit of a Patreon or Kickstarter vibe. People don't go to Kickstarter to not spend money. They go to Kickstarter to spend money. People don't go to Patreon to avoid supporting artists. They go to Patreon to support artists. And Substack has that at its core, that everybody is aware that there is the possibility of a paid membership. And I have a little bit of that in my audience, not a lot, but like some people have jumped on and said, yeah, I'll give you a couple bucks a month. And that's cool. Right. And I like that. So as an audience expectation, I feel like it's better for organic growth, because even if I just have a bunch of free subscribers, which I love my free subscribers, that's great. And I put all my stuff out there for free. Even if I only have free subscribers, I do feel like when and if I decide to like drop a product, that a Substack audience is going to be 10,000 times better than an Instagram audience or a TikTok audience.
Yeah.
Because the expectation of commerce is different. And then the last thing is you have notes and you have posts. And posts are basically like an email, but then it lives as a blog. And then notes is kind of like old school Twitter, where you just go on and you post stuff and have conversations with people about cool things. It's pretty legit. And then the video on the platform, I just did this last night at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I am going to start doing this every time now. If I make a video that I'm planning on promoting on Substack for YouTube, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to post it natively to Substack, and Substack has an option where I can check a box and it will upload that video to YouTube for me.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
And so this last video was the first time I did that. I'm kind of curious, anybody in the chat, if you guys noticed any differences on YouTube with that video. But I think from what I can tell, they didn't put their audience their Substack signature on it. I had the option to put a Substack logo, which I turned off. I think it just uploaded it for me, kind of like Adobe Premiere uploads it for me. So that saved me a ton of time of having to upload this video in multiple places. And then the cool thing is it gives you clips. So it goes through. This is the type of thing that I'm cool with AI doing. It analyzes the transcript of my video and it tries to decide interesting and relevant 30 to 60 second clips of that video. And it's like, would you like to share this 30 seconds? And then you can download that 30 seconds and then I can share that in multiple places, driving traffic to the original video.
See, that's what I'd like AI to start doing. Start doing the annoying stuff, not the fun stuff. You know? Right? Like that's a service that no one wants to do. Right? Like that's the thing. Like that's what AI should be learning how to do our dishes.
Yeah,
that's what we need AI for.
Don't do the stuff that I love. Do the stuff that I hate. That's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's so I'm all in on Substack. I love it. I think it's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I like I'm gonna have to look into the video thing. I will say that, and this could have been me because I've been in this big project, so I haven't been totally paying attention to everything. But I didn't know that you posted a new video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Dylan said that he got the notification through Substack before he got the notification on. Why is this playing? He got the notification on Substack before he got the notification on YouTube. So
success, Corey.
Yeah, it's almost instantaneous. When I put out the newsletter for this, it just the second after I click it, my phone goes.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing. Check this out. So this is the video that I posted. So it's got the video up here, and then in the show notes of this video or in the post, just like the description of the video on YouTube, I can put text, but I can also have links and I can embed other videos, GIFs, images. This is just like a blog post. So it's like YouTube, but with like blog posts attached to the videos.
Embed glitter GIFs though?
I could if I decided to do that.
Tom from MySpace again.
Yeah, if you please, Josh, get on Substack, and I want to see nothing but flaming, rotated, pixelating guitars.
Yeah,
I just want to. When I get on your Substack, I want my speakers to just start blaring whatever song you happen to like that day.
Yes,
and I want to see who your top 8 followers are, and I want to feel bad when I'm not one of them every time.
Yeah, I think I need to recreate MySpace on Substack so I can enshittify the platform.
I mean, there's actually an account. I don't know if I pointed this out to you, Scott, but there's an account that's on there that just posts nostalgia products, and they're like, "Hey, do you guys remember this?" And like everybody loves it, and they just get on there and they talk about it and they go back and forth. And
let me know, because that's the one thing I don't really like about Substack is that I wanted to be able to, like, through keyword search other things that have to do with nostalgia. Unless nostalgia is in the name of your Substack, it's not going to find it for you.
So it has less searchability.
I'd say organic growth on Substack right now is not great. Yeah. Organic growth elsewhere captured on Substack is good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would rather people find a YouTube video of mine, which I think is still doable, and then follow me on Substack than subscribe to my YouTube.
Smart.
So I mean, you can subscribe to both. That would be fine. But anyway, yeah. So
Okay.
it's interesting, but I love Substack, man. I am all in. It's great. I fully expect it to be a garbage trash fire in the future,
Yeah.
but I will take my followers, and we will find a different pre-inshitified platform.
Yeah, and I've mentioned my experience on Threadless too. Threadless used to be the hip place to be for an artist for a good, almost like 5 or 6 years, maybe 7 years, and then it just got very inshitified by a very similar thing where
Mm-hmm.
again it pulled in people, it built a really active community, it served that community, it compensated that community very fairly, and then it kind of started looking more for kind of appeasing everyone, and so that kind of lost the core base, and the
Do you
whole
know what?
thing
Do you
kind
know
of
what?
is not a really good platform anymore.
Do you know what
um,
I saw? Because I was not an artist at the time. I was still
yeah,
learning how to do basic things, but I was trying at the time that you were killing it. And I noticed the death of Threadless when you could start downloading vector packs
yep,
that were called like Threadless winners, and it
yep,
was all the same look.
mm,
As soon as there became like this kind of like bubbly immature indie style of illustration
yeah.
of like this is what Threadless stuff looks like, I was like, oh, that site is dead now.
Yeah, and also they lost, like, because the thing that was the key to that site when it was at its peak was, and the unique thing about it was the consumer was really active in the voting.
Right. Yeah.
And the second they lost that, they lost Threadless. Because it's like, when you didn't have that consumer and artist direct relationship that was so unique about it, it just fell apart and just became a print on demand site. And it's like,
Welcome to Ill Attack.
that's the thing, like, but again, like, if you're in the golden age when those things are working, it can be very lucrative. So yeah, I think I agree with Corey on that. Like, the rise and fall isn't a bad thing.
Well, and I think your band analogy is perfect. Like
Yeah,
if we look at our, it's not like I don't know who Panic at the Disco is because some venue that they played at closed.
yeah,
I still know who they
it's
are.
like Napster closing didn't like destroy Metallica.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, that's the thing is, as you're looking at any of these, so maybe to go back to Kate or whoever, as you guys are analyzing like where you should go or whatever, everybody should go follow me on Substack. No, but you should analyze like, are people there? This is my problem with Pinterest. Are people there because you're there, or are they there to consume something that you made and they have no idea who you are and don't
Yeah,
care? Right? And so like Pinterest, people are on Pinterest to plan their wedding, to find cool outfits, to look at random garbage, right? Or whatever. They're not there to find artists.
No, but
They're not.
you don't have to know who somebody is to buy their product.
exactly.
That's
And
true.
that's the kind of, at least for my mind, maybe I'm just because I make my living from this thing, but that's the goal is just
Yeah,
to sell products.
Sure. Yeah. And that's where I think Pinterest, TikTok store, um, selling on YouTube. Why am I blanking on this? Oh, it's a huge sales platform that I had it on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me. Um, that's where that makes sense. Reddit, right? I I don't think Reddit is a good place to find an audience,
yeah.
but I do think Reddit is a good place to have your content be discovered by an audience. And
Yeah, and
so,
it's a
like a
good
single,
audience. It's a good audience hub, kind of like a Discord that's a little easier to
as far as
moderate.
a conversation goes and those types of things, yeah. Um, but very seldom do people follow accounts there. They follow topics.
Yeah, yeah,
And so if you made a piece of art, you made a comic, or you made a video or an animation or something, and it makes sense for a particular community,
yeah,
they are self-selected in their interests, and so it's really good there. And so like for a product thing, I think Reddit could work really well as well.
oh yeah,
But the other thing, I know we're over time. We need to wrap. The other thing that I'm trying to balance is like,
yo, we could what? Oh, sorry, you said rap. I thought we were gonna
yeah,
start rapping.
Oh, Josh has entered his DD Ramon stage where he's a rapper now.
It's true. It's true. It's the end.
The enshittification of Josh's music. No, I'm just kidding.
That needs to be a clip on Substack. That should be clipped. That was hilarious.
No, I've been so busy lately, I haven't even been able to listen to your more recent songs.
Don't worry. That was just a joke because you said rap, and I was like, yes, sir.
But some of these are more time consuming than others, and I think that also is like come into play is I enjoy Reddit as a consumer of content.
Yeah, me too.
I don't necessarily like Reddit as a creator of art.
Yeah, and Reddit has a little bit of that old school Twitter thing too, where it is a little bit of a crap show. Like a little bit, yeah.
But I mean, if you want to go talk about the height of sauna benches and what type of wood is best to burn in your sauna, there are several communities of very, very opinionated people.
If you want to refret your neck of your guitar,
right.
Reddit is like a resource, my dudes. So it's a very active, great thing for like obscure knowledge online.
Yeah. So
I think Reddit didn't mention 4chan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Don't don't go on that site, guys.
Speaking of which, no, I've been meaning to talk to you guys. I think we should get together and maybe all dress the same. So I don't know. Those are the ones I'm kind of so here's what I do, and I don't think this is good, but I don't know what the other option is right now is I'm making stuff that I want to make. It's mainly just going on I think I'm switching now to, if it's art, it's going to go Substack first, it's going to go YouTube second, and then I am going to show Mastodon, Kara, X, Blue Sky, and a few others. They're just going to have a link to it. Anywhere that has it in their terms and service that they are going to scrape my images and feed it to the algorithm or feed it to the AI, I will still use them to drive traffic. I don't expect much response, but you'll notice that I deleted a decade's worth of content off of Instagram because F you. I refuse to help you destroy people's lives. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
I like it.
And I mean, like, Jeremy, Scott, Dylan. There's quite a few people that are kind of already on Substack, and I think it's great. I had a good discussion with Guminelli earlier. Remember, she was on the show, and we were just talking about different platforms. It's a cool place right now. I think they're in stage 1, which is where you want to be on a platform.
Yep.
I hope they stay there as long as possible.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like 80% of that was just me ranting, but at the end.
No. I think it's good. I think some people should also just consider, there are times where, a guillotine's not a bad solution either. Just saying, it's something to consider, guys, like constructing a guillotine for people in power. It might be a necessity at some point,
Oh my gosh.
That's where I'm at.
Does it kind of depend? Never mind.
We don't have to start a new time.
I'm just saying you sound similar to people that were on a walking tour of a government building a couple of years ago.
No.
It's just anyway.
I'm more just kind of thinking about there's some times where the bourgeoisie gets a little too powerful. That's all I'm saying.
And
okay.
And in that case, I think a free and open internet is one of the best things that we can do nowadays.
I concur with that, yeah.
And having like a lot of competing opinions and ideas that are being expressed openly and in a safe environment. And I see that on some of these platforms and not on others. What I like about Substack, another thing when you're talking about a diverse audience, I see the full political spectrum. If you're on X right now, it's pretty right leaning. If you're on Blue Sky, it's pretty left leaning. If you're on Substack, you're gonna get everybody. It's great. I see people on there that are like, "Whoa, dude, that is very libertarian," and then the next post is like, "Oh, you just want to have no markets at all. That's about as left as you get." And it's like, and everybody in between. It is.
That's usually a healthier platform. Yeah,
it's a town square right now, which I think is great. So
I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I like free speech, and Substack seems to like free speech right now. So as long as they stay in stage one as long as possible, I'm with them until they start screwing everybody over.
Yeah, until a billionaire acquires them, and
yeah,
I love it. Cool.
Well, the other thing to consider is several of these platforms are under massive investigation by several governments.
Yes.
So they might not be around. Like, it's not a given that TikTok is going to stick around in the U.S. It's already been banned in several countries. It's not a given that that Meta isn't, or Google or others isn't going to be broken up and sold into tiny little pieces. There was a court that just ruled that Google had to sell Chrome. And so they decided that they were too much of a search monopoly, and the first stage of deconstructing that monopoly was to sell their browser.
And Chrome
I don't know.
now, by the way.
We'll see if that plays out.
I don't know how it's going to play out or who could afford to buy it, but the government is at least moving in the right direction to try to change what they've been doing wrong for the past 45 years.
For now.
I mean, I don't know if you can consider the government as part of one of the stages of enshittification, but are they always in stage 3? Like, just all the time? Yeah, I don't know.
And but now we're talking about stages. Why does it sound so strangely like cancer?
Right. It is kind of a metastatized situation.
It is, yeah.
That, at some point in time, you just need to start cutting things up and removing them.
Agreed.
Anyway, I don't know. I talk too much. Final thoughts?
Go ahead, Josh.
No, Scott, go.
I was just going to say, no, I think this is a really good discussion, and
I do.
It's a lot to think about, but yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. So,
well, speaking of that, you can find my stuff on Substack. And so to make things easier, and this is a trick that I would suggest to everyone, your website first. And so you'll notice that I don't give out the address or URL to my Substack. I give out the URL that I have been giving out for 20 years. CoreyKerr.com/email will always take you to whatever email service I'm on at the time. And so it used to take you to MailChimp. Before that, it took you to something else. And now it takes you to Substack. So if you want to get on my email newsletter list and make sure that you get to see the stuff that you want to see, and that Zuckerberg and Bezos and all those billionaires out there don't decide for you what you get to see, then you get on the email list, and at any point in time, you can get off. I won't keep you on there if you don't want to be on there. And you go to CoreyKerr.com/email to do that. If you want to read my book, CoreyKerr.com/book. If you want to read my comic, of which I have 10 pages out, and I've got another 10 that are penciled and ready to go, you go to CoreyKerr.com/rage, and that'll take you to the comic. And if you're not sure where to go, just go to CoreyKerr.com. It's all there too. So you can find that out. And that is a strategy that I highly recommend, because I have very low switching costs when I change platforms, because all of my YouTube, all of my content, all of the videos, everything that I'm putting out uses a URL that I control. And so unless there's an ISP that decides that I am not allowed to be on the internet, you can always go to CoreyKerr.com, no matter what is going on. And it will never enshittify, because I'm not here to screw people over. I'm here to make art. So you can check out my stuff there. Josh, where can we check out your stuff?
Coming
soon to Substack?
Possibly Substack. I am really interested in that. Jacob's Apartment and 2 Stories are available where books are sold. Some of that is Amazon. But some of that can be local bookstores and stuff like that. So buy Jacob's Apartment and Two Stories. Back up supporting indie stuff, especially in this day and age as AI is encroaching on the artistic space. Buy stuff made by humans. So Jacob's Apartment, Two Stories, made by human. And also, there's a bunch of art and music that I've made. You can check it out on any music streaming platform. I use Spotify all the time, so maybe you want to check it out on Spotify, Joshua Kemble. But anyhow, I have like 3 albums made by a human being where I played every instrument, and those are worth checking out as well. And then, yeah, that's basically it. And subscribe to me on YouTube as well, because I do plan on doing live streams, hanging out and making cool art, whatever the venue. So
I'm curious if your music's on the platform that I subscribe to, because it's kind of
what platform is that?
It's called, well, it keeps changing its name. I think it's just called Live One.
Let me see.
It used to be Slacker Radio, and it keeps changing. So it's either Live One or Live X Live. It's weird. They keep changing it.
Let me double check.
Anyway.
I'll have to see. So I know that I'm on Amazon, Angami, Apple Music, MediaNet. I'm trying to see if this thing you were talking about is one of them. Boomplay, Deezer, Instagram, Adapt. Anyhow, I shouldn't keep going.
No, that's right.
Yeah. iTunes, TikTok, Tidal.
Tidal's awesome. Tidal pays their artists much better than Substack does, and they're not evil yet.
Nisavon, Pandora.
Not Substack. Did you mean Substack? You said Substack. Or did you mean
Savon.
Spotify? Corey said they pay better than Substack.
Oh, I meant Spotify. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tidal's way better than Substack.
Yeah, Kobas, Netties.
I mean Spotify. Sorry.
Quack.
Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff at my website at circworks.com. Digital products, comic books, physical products, all that stuff, and you can find my videos right here on my on my YouTube channel. And also, we do the show every single week, pretty much. We won't be on next week because it's Christmas, so everyone have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas.
That's right.
And just we will return, and usually, if you want to know when we're going to return, whose channel it's going to be on, because it does rotate between our 3 channels. The best way to do that is to join our mailing list, which is a Substack. So if you join that, you will be notified when we're about to go live. And there's a link in the description. Oh, maybe there isn't. You may have to go to another video. I think I forgot to put that in there.
If you just go to Substack and then search for Artcasters.
Yeah.
Or better yet, go to Substack and find my Substack. And one of the Substacks that I follow is Artcasters. You can find it that way as well.
You can search the stacks.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Cool. Do you want to kill this, Scott, since it's yours, or do you want me to?
No, sorry, I forgot.
Oh, no, I kind of took over.
And thank you to everyone in the chat, and have a good weekend. We'll see you in a couple weeks.